Jason, happy Friday. Yeah, we made it through another week of chaos. I'll say this. It's not a new all-time record high. We actually have a little bit of a pullback here. Take advantage. Gold has been on an absolute tear. We got inflation data out. We got to talk about Japan. They got a new prime minister. A real hardliner. Yeah, they're real excited. He's committed to get Japan out of deflation. Another guy that's probably going to print a lot of money. And, of course, the usual war drums, even from him. Yes, we need equal balance with the United States. Maybe somebody else looking to buy some weapons. Why not, as World War III is just around the corner. More updates. Costco today. Gold sales continue to soar. Costco saying record high prices, no effect. Gold sales up double digits. It's crazy, right? You think a company like Costco is selling hundreds of millions of dollars worth of gold a month. They even asked them, kind of tongue in cheek, hey, you guys gonna make a Kirkland gold bar? They said nothing going on that right now. Jason was just texting me. Jason will be with us in a minute. Our toll-free number, 800-951-0592. The website at allamericangold.com. And we are talking about the inflation data that came in today. And I guess depending on what you wanted to see, the month-over-month number less than expected, which we thought it'd be softer, only up a tenth. The core was in line at 2.7. Now that was up from last month's 2.6, but that was also expected. So we had the 2.2 on the headline, 2.7 on the core, and then the so-called super core, they always invent new stuff, up 3.29. Income and spending rose less than expected. Income, the smallest month-over-month rise since July of last year, and also spending was the lowest since January of this year. So a lot there to kind of digest. It was in line. Basically in line, which is the headline, softer at that 2.2, keeping the rate cut in effect, right? Which, no surprise there. Now the only question will be, is it going to be a half of a point? Is it going to be a quarter of a point? And how low are they getting ready to go? We'll wait and see. I think now that this number's out of the way, just remember, all the numbers is going to be really simple. If they feel like it's bad, numbers are bad numbers, you're going to see Wall Street be very happy because they'll want a bigger rate cut. Good numbers, it'll go the opposite way, right? They'll be like, okay, maybe it's only going to be quarter of a point versus half of a point. Right now, the odds, it's 50-50. That's what I don't. Is it 50-50? I don't know. Can you bet it on FanDuel? Maybe. Maybe they should start doing that. Then again, I don't know. But that's what they're saying. Right now, it's 50-50 as to whether or not it's going to be 50 basis points. But something I wanted to bring up because it caught my eye. Brazil, of course, a member of BRICS. Boy, that BRICS meeting, by the way, I got an update. More countries wanting to sign up. We'll get to that in just a minute. For the very first time, is ordering small cargo and charter airplanes from China. So, we've talked about this a long time ago where China, Boeing was doing some stuff in China. And, of course, what the Chinese do, they take the technology, they steal it, they borrow it, whatever you want to call it. and start on their own. They are making their own commercial aircraft. This is the first order from a country outside of Asia to buy jets from China. The Total and the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, COMAC, is what they go by. They've been in talks for months. The airline said that they are going to order 4 of the C919 planes. It is the first order. And, of course, Boeing, with all of their problems, right, here you go. All of a sudden now, China's starting to get orders outside of Asia, Brazil being the first. They're not going to be the last, but I'm not surprised, right? Not surprised. And of course, aircraft, big money, no word as to how they paid. That's the one thing when I was looking at this. Is this going to be a renminbi deal, or is it going to be a cash deal? It's being financed by China's development bank. Brazil's going to put 20% down, kind of like buying a house, buying 4 airplanes. Each plane, by the way, $90 million. And so I guess you can officially say now China's in the global airline. Well, I guess not airlines. These are cargo planes. But they're selling planes globally now. Well, I hope Boeing gets their act together pretty quick here. Patriot Radio News Hour. It's Friday. Get a couple of fingers of Jack in that coffee. Jason's back. We're going to rock and roll. We'll be right back. (800-951-0592). Joe and Jason wrapping up this Friday. A quick look in at the markets. The Dow, it's up 400 points. Why not? Yeah, hey, inflation's great. It's perfect. The S&P's up 8. The Nasdaq's down 40. The 10-year note at 3.77, so hanging out right around between 3.75 and 3.8. Crude oil's up a little bit, but still only $68. Like I said, a pullback in gold. It's right to support here, hanging out right here at 26.50. We'll see. We'll see what happens here. We don't get very many of these, and they don't last very long. So take advantage today. We'll try to help you out. Unfortunately, this is what I worried about. The physical market doesn't really care right now that gold was down a little bit, but we'll do the best that we can. Remember, got to take this serious, guys. You need to be so much more diversified. You want to tell one of the reasons why gold is down is the new prime minister of Japan. It took like 5 rounds of voting to come up with this guy. He's a big Warhawk. Kind of interesting. He wasn't supposed to win. Right? He was kind of one of those, okay, yeah, he's one of 9 guys, and was early in the voting, was 5th or 6th, and everyone thought they knew who was going to win, and they end up going with a war guy. You think that Japan is kind of letting everybody know, yeah, this is kind of where we're headed? I don't know. It's interesting. Kind of a surprise. Like, this guy wasn't even really being talked about to be the next prime minister, and yet here he comes out of seemingly nowhere to win. Get more diversified. Check out our friends at YRefi. We've talked about them forever. Up to 10.25% fixed rate of return, not correlated to the stock market. That's kind of the cool part. Granted, listen, summer's at all-time high, right? Gold's up $400 today. You got to be diversified, though, because guess what? What's going to happen when it's down 4,000, 5,000, 10,000? Because it's coming. Check them out, investYrefi.com. Doesn't care about, listen, it didn't care about the inflation report today, doesn't care about Jay Powell, doesn't care about Janet Yellen, doesn't care about any of that stuff. Got to have a minimum of $50,000. You guys already know that. You can use an existing IRA, 401k. Call them. 888-Y-REFI-24. 888-973-3924. And we've been talking a lot about this BRICS meeting coming up. The Taliban. Right, of course. They're officially not recognized, by the way. I don't know if that matters or not, because, we don't recognize the Taliban. The government of Afghanistan has announced that they are seeking to join BRICS. Countries with major resources in the world's biggest economies are associated with BRICS, especially Russia, India, and China. The Taliban says we have good economic ties and commercial exchanges with them. We are keen to expand our relationship and participate in the economic forums of BRICS. So, again, this is another one, right? I don't know that it moves the needle one way or the other, but it probably shouldn't be a surprise right now. Another, I guess, country on the bad guy bus, Afghanistan, making the case for them to become part of BRICS today. On top of that, Iran, they announced that their gold imports surged 600%. They said approximately 43 tons of gold bullion valued at $2.5 billion were imported in the first 6 months of the calendar year. That is a 600% increase from last year. So, Jason, more of these BRICS countries bumping up their gold reserves. And today, again, I don't know that Afghanistan necessarily moves the needle. But again, it's just another country saying, hey, we want to be part of BRICS. And they already had 34 other countries waiting in the wings. So I guess make it 35 plus the 11 official members. That's a lot of gold buying.
We've been talking about how much gold buying has been going on by the central banks for years, and now these countries are just loading up. And then, of course, the fever to join the BRICS nations, which, Joe, I don't know about you, but it seems like a lot of the countries that want to join, I think they just – it's what you say all the time on this show, which is, be diversified, right? Have many pots, not just one. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. So to me – since I think a lot of the world doesn't know exactly what's going to happen in the next months and years, it's time to load up on gold and get in the BRICS, and hopefully when the chips fall, you have your foot in one of the right buckets, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting, Iran, that's double their gold reserves in 6 months. So they had about 45 tons of gold. They just bought 43 tons, and that was just in the first 6 months. So my guess is they probably more than doubled their gold reserves. And think about Saudi Arabia, right? They've been buying gold since 2022, and they just didn't want people to know. And this is not Iran. This came through imports. They were not divulging that through the central banks that they were buying gold like this. We have to find out from other sources. So a lot of these BRICS nations are trying to keep the price down by not reporting that they're buying it. But eventually when you start doing the math, you figure out, okay, here's who's buying. Remember, we had speculated Saudi Arabia was a buyer. Now Iran. This is kind of a big deal because Iran really didn't have a lot of gold. So the fact that they've already doubled their gold holdings, they're making a serious play here. And again, remember, we're supposed to find out next month. They're going to have a basket of currencies. We're going to find out which currencies are going to be in the basket. On top of up to 40% backing with gold. And Jason, I think this is very clear. There's going to be, I don't know if it's going to be 40% or not. That's what all the people out there keep saying that. That's the number being thrown about. Obviously, it's going to be something serious because these countries, they're buying it up as fast as they can.
Are they going to boost their price when they make that decision, right, Joe, or soon after?
That could be, right? That's the other thing you don't know.
Overnight
right?
price doubles, or they say, hey, here's how we're going to stagger the price over a time frame, kind of like the Fed raising rates. Well, we'll do it every 6 weeks. We'll raise it. You know, you never know. They can just make it up as they go, especially if they have a basket of currencies. Now they can try to balance it at a price point, Joe.
You know, what's funny is out of Switzerland yesterday, they were, you know, if people remember, you know, England dumped all their gold and made a big announcement. They did it the dumbest way possible, right? They told everyone we're going to sell it all, made the price tank, and sold it at the absolute dead bottom around $250. A lot of people don't know that the years leading up to the financial crisis. So England sells its gold, right, what was it? Right before or right after Y2K, they sold all their gold. But from 2000 to 2005, a lot of these European countries were selling gold. Remember Europe, they had an agreement they'd sell 500 metric tons. Well, Switzerland sold a bunch of its gold 25 years ago. Almost 25 years ago. And now they're talking about how Switzerland needs to start buying gold again, despite the high pricing, that the reasons for the selling. You got to remember, so why would they sell their gold anyway? Why did England sell their gold? Why were all these countries selling their gold? Because they believe their own nonsense. Right? Think about, you know, the late 90s. We had a couple of years. Remember they said we had a budget surplus? We really didn't, but they said we did. And Alan Greenspan was talking about paying off the debt, and he was the maestro, right? Oh, my gosh, this is going to be great, and no one's going to have to worry about Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid because all the money we're going to save on the interest on the debt, which, by the way, we just spent $1 trillion on interest, by the way. Think about that. If we didn't have to spend the $1 trillion, right, Medicare and Medicaid would probably be not that big of a deal. But here we are. They said that the reasons given at the time turned out to be wrong, and it is now time that we focus on what the real realities are, and they're making a call for Switzerland to rebuild its gold reserves. And Jason, I think this is kind of the first, I'll say, you don't think of Switzerland as, like a BRICS country. When you think of Switzerland, you're thinking more aligned with Europe, main Europe, and the United States. This is the first call that I've seen from one of these central banks to say, hey, you know what, guys? All that reasoning why we thought we could sell gold, it's wrong. We need to start buying gold again. If that happens, look out, right? If all of a sudden England's got to buy gold, right? Switzerland's got to buy, France, Italy, if all these countries got to start buying gold again, there won't be enough gold to go around.
Precious metal, right, Joe? There's only so many ounces per person walking around, so it's you can only have so much. And the paper gold, which kind of hides that, right? You always watch Hollywood. Yeah, they have movies where there's piles of gold that just go to the ceiling of some massive building. There's just not that much gold that exists. There's this illusion that there's just tons of gold. The cryptos, they always compare this. So they have pictures. If you want to buy a Bitcoin, they have a gold coin. But when it comes down to it, there's just not that many coins, is there, Joe? There really is not that many coins. I mean, there's a lot if you add it up for one person, but for 8 billion people walking around, there's not that much gold, Joe.
So for everybody out there to understand this, because this is big. Like when you guys call, and we ran a special yesterday. We had 15 half-ounce gold coins that we had. We had the $20 gold coins. When we're talking about the central banks, they buy gold by the ton. That's over 32,000 ounces. These are huge purchases. But why? Some of you out there probably are confused. Why? Okay, well, Joe, you keep talking about de-dollarization. They want to hold less dollars, and I guess I kind of understand that. But here's the big reason. All of these countries have debt, and they need to sell the debt, just like we do. And the bottom line is the countries that have a lot of gold are going to have an easier time selling their debt than the countries that don't when things get tough. Keep that in mind. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. So, as we were talking, why is this important? Why is it that the BRICS is saying, hey, we're going to have a basket of currencies, but we're also going to have a big piece of it in gold? Yes, they want to hold less dollars. Of course, why do they want to hold less dollars? Well, because it's not been a real good investment. I mean, think about it this way. You can loan the United States right now for 10 years and get 3.7%, 3.77%. Now, I know that they came out with this inflation number today that said, well, one reading's 2.2, another one's 2.7, the other one's 3.29, right? Of course, we know you need to double that because that's probably closer to what it really is. And these countries are like, yeah, but we're only getting 3.7%. We're not making any money. We're losing money. We're losing money. By the time this matures, what I could have bought 10 years ago, think about that. That's a great way of looking at it. Think about how less things cost 10 years ago. And then you get you're going to get 3.7%. That doesn't work. That math doesn't work. But at the end of the day, these countries need to be able to sell their debt. And when things start going sideways, which we know is going to happen, because this is the cycle they put us on. They decided, the central banks decided to go for boom and bust. That's what they decided to do. They said, to hell with financial responsibility. Let's just print money. Right? How do you think we ended up? We got $35.5 trillion of debt. We went, 200 years before we had $1 trillion in debt. 200 years. And now you take the last, 50? Just take the last 25 years. We've added $30 trillion in 25 years. And now we add $2 to $3 trillion. Now we're adding $2 and $3 trillion a year, every year. Paying $1 trillion in interest. So when it comes crashing down, which countries are going to be able to sell debt? And I think what everybody is seeing is these countries are like, well, we better have a lot of gold because that's going to be the key. If we have gold, people will buy our debt. If we don't have gold, people won't buy it. I think that is really, Jason, that's the decision that these central banks are making right now. Because at the end of the day, we can talk about de-dollarization, and yes, they want to hold less dollars. And why? Because it's a bad investment. It's a bad investment. The dollar's a bad investment. We're cutting rates. We do a 50 basis point rate cut with a 3% GDP. That's never happened. Never. Right? We got banks that rely on BS bookwork to make it look like they're not losing their ass. We got fake FDIC insurance. They don't have any money. Do you know that they insure like, what is it, like 1.1%? That's how much insurance they have. Of all the insured deposits, the FDIC's got like 1% of the money. That's it.
The problem with de-dollarization is what options are there, right? So if the BRICS gets their act together, can you imagine what de-dollarization will look like if people are like, hey, that thing over there works? Can you imagine the de-dollarization, how fast it will be if the BRICS puts together something that just looks like it works? It just has the illusion that it works. De-dollarization will amplify. It'll just blow the doors off. And then hyperinflation, the stuff that we've talked about, that countries in the past have suffered, that would be suddenly on the table as a real thing.
Yeah, and it is a real thing. And you better take it seriously. Because Jason's right, it doesn't even really have to work. Just the illusion of it working will be enough. Already, listen, here's the realities. It's already working, right? It is, right? China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Brazil. Look at the news I started the show with, Brazil. Hey, we're buying aircrafts from China. First time China has sold an aircraft outside of its country. First time. It's just something where I think people are going to be surprised. They're going to be surprised at how fast this thing comes apart. And right now it's gradual. This has been a gradual thing. Right? And Jason and I, we've talked about it before, that it's every little bit has an effect. But the real reason they're saying, why do we have to have gold? Jason, it's all about legitimacy. I mean, are we going to start seeing brick bonds at some point? Probably. Will people buy it? Well, gosh, if you're going to back it with gold, they're going to buy it, right? And all of a sudden, hey, the United States has competition, and that's really what this whole thing has been about, is being about. Now, for the first time, Switzerland's the first. I guarantee you it won't be the last of these countries saying, hey, wait a minute, we made a mistake. We never should have sold our gold. All the reason, right? I guess it's easy, right? It's easy to go back 25 years ago and say, what are you dummies doing? Hindsight, that's easy. I don't think it really matters. They did it, right? They did it. Now they're saying, wait a minute, do we need to undo it? And I think that answer is going to be yes. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Joe and Jason on this Friday. We got a pullback. It's $20, but we'll take it. At least it's not another all-time record high today. So yesterday, remember, we had $20 gold pieces, $27.95. Today, $27.75. And I'll honor that deal yesterday, too. And for every 20 you buy, we'll throw in an ounce of silver. We'll throw in an ounce of silver, same price. just to kind of sweeten the pot. So $27.75. You get an ounce of gold and an ounce of silver at 800-951-0592. Be your own central bank. Here's the realities. We have to de-dollarize. We just do. That's what we have to do. Do we want to? No. No. But it wasn't our choice. We didn't decide to just say the hell with it and spend like drunken sailors. We didn't decide to weaponize the dollar. We didn't make those choices. They did. Now you're telling me this guy in Japan comes out of nowhere, this war guy comes out of nowhere, become prime minister? That's not an accident. Something's getting ready. You can feel it. 800-951-0592. Helene, what a horrible storm this has turned out to be. Made ground landfall in Florida as a Category 4, flooding everywhere. 4 million, I think it's now 4.3 million people without power. Some places they're expecting that there will be no power for an extended period of time. Some places are saying it could be a month or longer without power. But now, like in Georgia, 70-mile-an-hour winds, gusting up to 100. They're saying it's going to be record flooding in the Carolinas. This thing just turned into a monster. But the reason I bring this up, insurance has already gotten ridiculous. This is not going to go well. This is going to be, it looks like, some really big losses. The insurance companies, Jason, you can almost set your watch to it now. Florida, the Carolinas, now, Georgia, then you got to go to Louisiana, Texas, right? All the places that have hurricane issues. Get ready for insurance companies to pack up, leave town, and the ones that stay, they're going to charge you a fortune.
Well, and what's the big insurance company that they just said is, you may have covered this in the last minute, but they're not stable. They're when this happens, I think they have 1.1 million homes are insuring. Is it Century Insurance or something like that? Was it Jerome Powell? One of the big guys out there just saying, yeah, they're not solvent. They just said they're not solvent. This thing, when it hits, makes landfall, even though it's not really a huge hurricane once it hits, after it's on land, but it's got a direct path to through Atlanta and Nashville. That's what they're projecting. They say, yeah, okay, it won't be a hurricane at that point, but when it's at Atlanta, the flooding and the storming and the stuff that's going to happen, and they said something about the way the weather pattern is coming off the Atlantic. It's just going to be there a while. It's just this is bad for Florida and the insurance company that's insolvent, that's insuring the homes in Florida, and then it's going to just do a whole lot of damage as a massively major storm inland. So everyone's got their alerts. People that like to hunker down and weather through it in Florida, they've already evacuated. The strong guys, the ones that like the ones that have the bravado that like to stick around during hurricanes. They're leaving. They've already seen this as a really bad possibility, Joe.
Yeah, this is going to be something. We'll keep our eye on it. Obviously, we hope. I know the last I saw, already 9 dead. But we'll keep watching. Hopefully, it doesn't get any worse than what they're saying it's going to be. This kind of just got really dangerous, really, really quickly. And we'll have to wait and see as to the fallout here, but we'll continue to watch that as well. And looks like more insurance companies in Florida are going to be insolvent. There's already 7 insurance companies have gone insolvent just in the last 7 years in Florida. So there's a lot of these companies that are in receivership. So we'll watch it. We'll monitor it as more data comes out. But again, it's just one more thing. And that's the biggest thing. There's too many things now out there. Used to be, okay, we got to worry, I don't know, about these 5 things. We got to worry about these 10 things. Today, we could probably, Jason and I could probably come up with 100 different things that you got to be paying attention to and not even break a sweat. But it'd be easy. We probably, if we really wanted to, we'd probably come up with 1,000. And I think this is why you're seeing these countries stocking up into gold, talking about BRICS, going to BRICS. Now there's talk about central banks that had sold their gold based on assumptions that turned out to be incorrect, needing to buy it back again. And then Costco is probably the best indicator of all. The guys at Costco, they're kind of laughing. They're like, yeah, we just can't keep up. We can't keep up with the demand. They're flying off the shelves. And I think that really is a great indicator of what really is happening out there. 800-951-0592. A $20 gold piece and an ounce of silver for $2,775 today. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. Wrapping it up here. Boeing has stopped all production now of planes in Washington, including the 737, the MAX, the 767, 777, as the strike continues. That obviously not good news there. And then I know that they're claiming victory on inflation. Someone forgot to tell the post office. Apparently, the post office, wow, I did not even know. Currently, a stamp 73 cents. Wow. I remember when it was 10 cents. They want to raise the price 5 times between now and 2027. The next price hike is planned for July of 2025. And then they said they're going to raise prices every January and every July after that. So, you know what? Just make it $1 already and get it over with. It probably costs more than $1. I don't know. So I guess the post office is already letting us know, inflation's not going to go away next year, the year after, or the year after that. Maybe that's the new gold indicator, the price of a stamp. $20 gold piece and an ounce of silver today, $2,775. Thankfully, at least we got a little reprieve today in the gold market. Right now, gold $2,650. It's down $22. As Japan, really the big deal. They're making a real big deal. The yen, a huge rally today on news of the Warhawk, Shiba winning the prime minister race seemingly out of nowhere. I'm stunned because this, like I said, this guy wasn't even being talked about. And now in a speech, he's already been talking about getting out of deflation in Japan and at the same time wanting to beef up the military. I guess, should we be surprised? Probably not. 800-951-0592. Disney announced that they are going to be laying off hundreds of white-collar workers. They said the layoffs will start next week, so we'll stay tuned for that. We'll see exactly how many. Oh, and I forgot this one. This is the other thing I want to talk about. Platinum. We've been talking about platinum for a long while. It's just over $1,000 right now. But we got an update. If you're looking at maybe, hey, what else besides gold or silver, maybe adding a little platinum may not be a bad idea. They're now saying that the supply deficit in platinum is going to run through 2028. So that's a lot. That's a lot of years to be running deficits. We got platinum bars available if you guys are interested in that on platinum. Call us here. We can make you a great deal on some platinum bars if you're interested at 800-951-0592. But platinum kind of now looks like a lot like silver. Looks a lot like silver, where deficits are going to be lasting multiple years here. So I expect a big jump in the platinum price in the next, say, 3 to 5 years. God bless everybody. I know it was a crazy week, crazy year. Jason and I will be back next week. Have a great week.